The law of Moses was the law that God gave to the Jews through Moses. And they lived by that law, but they failed to follow it. So Jesus came and took their punishment upon himself. He took the curse of the law upon himself and became a curse for us. So Jesus said, I have not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill the law. So Jesus fulfilled the law by taking the curse of the law upon himself. Apostle Paul later clarifies this by saying that the law was a guardian for us until Christ came. He says that the law allows all kinds of evil such as slave trading, but the law is good for the lawless. So what this means is that the law of Moses is still a good law. It's still a good law for society, but it's no longer spiritually active. It's spiritually fulfilled, so it no longer carries any curses or blessings. Because before, when the Jews followed the law, they would be blessed, but when they disobeyed the law, they would be cursed. So this aspect of the law doesn't exist anymore, because Jesus fulfilled this part of the law. It also said you had to make animal sacrifices to get forgiveness for sins. For example, in the book of Job, God told Job's friends who had spoken ill of him that go and make some animal sacrifices so that I may not punish you. But this is no longer necessary, because Jesus died for us on the cross, so he was the perfect sacrifice. We can be forgiven by his blood. We no longer need to make animal sacrifices. Then they also say that the Gentiles don't need to follow the law. So Apostle Paul says that let the uncircumcised remain uncircumcised, and let the circumcised remain circumcised. So the Jews still have to follow the law, but the Gentiles don't. And Gentile means the nations, which means non-Jews. So we Gentile Christians, we don't need to follow the law. Apostle Paul also says that everything is allowed for me, but everything is not healthy. So because of Jesus' sacrifice, he was allowed to, for example, eat pork, even if the law forbids it, because Jesus declared all food clean. So it was no longer a sin to eat forbidden foods like pork or shellfish. However, Apostle Paul still kept following the law because it was still good for the Jews to follow the laws, because it was part of their culture. It was still good for them to follow it, for their cultural identity.